Evening, everyone. It's your girl Tammy, aka That's a Woman. And listen, I have in the studio with me tonight two people that I have had the pleasure to meet on my journey, and I am excited to introduce them to you. I am going to start by saying the topic that we're having, the topic of conversation that we're having tonight, it's not a easy conversation, but it's a necessary conversation because it happens more than anyone is willing to admit. And so I am that person. I like to be bold about what I do because I'm here on a purpose, as we all are. And a lot of times people cower behind what they know to be the truth because they're not brave enough to step out on it and stand in it. So I'm honored tonight to have the two guests in the studio with me because they have truths that they've been brave and bold enough to share, and they're here to share it with you. And if there will be also information that if you or anyone that you know is experiencing any of this, that you can have the conversations as well. So I want to first introduce Shelly Sims to you, and a little bit about Shelly. Shelly received his Colorado real estate license in 2006, where he and his family lived since childhood. He personally bought and sold in Colorado while helping others invest in their dreams. In 2021, Shelly moved to Georgia for his kids' future and immediately jumped right into expanding his real estate career with offices in Colorado as well as Georgia. Shelly enjoys helping those purchase and sell real estate property in both states. His passion for domestic violence advocacy is apparent through his excellent communication skills and warm and friendly approach. He is tenacious when it comes to victims of domestic violence and will assist with healing and building resilience. And while he isn't working, Shelly enjoys cooking, traveling, and spending time with his friends and family. And he puts his experience and determination to work for you, for and with you. So welcome, Shelly.
Hello, and thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I met Shelly by way of this beautiful young lady who I met. It's actually been almost a year ago. Maya and I met at a women's empowerment event hosted by a mutual friend. And there was something about our energies that we connected immediately. So I am honored to introduce her. So now let me give you a little bit about Maya's background. So Maya Harrell, with over 30 years of experience in the beauty industry, Maya has a significant mark as a stylist and salon owner. Her commitment to excellence has been recognized through multiple awards in customer service and community service. Additionally, her contributions to the Atlanta public school system highlighted her dedication to education and mentorship. Her journey as a survivor of domestic violence adds a layer of resilience and strength to her voice, making her an inspiration for many. Beyond her professional endeavors, Maya is a passionate philanthropist, continuously working to make a positive impact on those around her. Her dynamic presence and unwavering commitment to service have left an indelible impression on all who's crossed her path. And I said that prior to reading her bio. So, as the founder of and CEO of Bruise But Not Broken Community Outreach Incorporated nonprofit organization, Maya, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to have the conversation, and let's dive in.
Let's dive in. That's what I like. That's what I like. So before they dive in, I pulled some information that I feel I'm not going to read all of it because it was a lot. But do you know that almost 40 million women reported being slapped, pushed, or shoved, and almost half of all women report psychological aggression by an intimate partner. And domestic violence not only affect individual victims, but also causes repercussions for their families and the wider communities, which is why, again, one, this conversation is being had because it's time to bring awareness. And you hear about bringing awareness, but then nobody still really wants to have those conversations. So understanding domestic violence is a deeply concerned issue as it affects individuals, a family, and families across the country. And one of the things that I did struggle with this conversation, because I know right now we're in the midst of early voting, and I feel that the country is already out of balance. The universe is out of whack. However, I do know stress like this at a time like this, if there's any form of domestic violence taking place, this will increase it. So, Maya, Shelley, what are your thoughts on anything that I just said?
Well, pressure will do it. Pressure will make a violent person even more violent because they need somewhere to release, and generally they release it behind closed doors. And so, whether it's male or female, and so yes, I agree
Shelley, any comment on that one?
You know me, here I come. I as usual, the emphasis is always on women. And so I just like it to be known that 1 in 6 men are victims of domestic violence as well. So it's an equal playing field here. And especially here in Georgia, I think men are like 17%. I mean, women are 39% the ones charged in domestic violence. So it's a level playing field. We just don't. It's a conversation not talked about.
Mhm. That's good. That's good. And so, speaking of talking about it, and from the male's perspective, Shelley, do you mind sharing as to why I invited you to this conversation?
Um, One more time with the question.
So I invited you to the conversation on behalf of the men. Are you willing? Are you able to share any part of your experience with domestic violence, or why you're an advocate for domestic violence?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you, it all initially started meeting Maya and passionate about her goal with her nonprofit, and in learning this, I learned that I too technically am a survivor, because as men, when it comes to us and getting hit or whatever, we're supposed to by nature just accept it and blow it off. So a lot of it isn't even recognized. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until I think 2021 that they even started recording the data of men that are involved. So me personally, I hate to use the word victim, but from learning what domestic violence is, it happens to men all the time, and we're supposed to be men, and we all deal with it. And I don't think most men know they are victims. It's just unfortunately just a part of life that we're supposed to just be able to deal with. Yeah.
Wow. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
and it progressed. Like when women hit, because I'm one of those people that I don't, and this was even before I got into the situation that I was in. I don't feel like a woman should put her hands on a man and vice versa, you know. And so, to me, if a woman do it and he hits you back, to me, you brought it on yourself. So I don't feel like women should hit men either. And it's not spoken about because society will make it seem as if it's okay, she's a woman, you know, the hit didn't hurt. And to me, it doesn't matter how hard you did it, but when you're doing it out of anger and you're doing it intentionally to hurt that person, it's not right. And but we look at it with men like it's okay, you know, she's a female, so it's okay. And so it makes men not want to share with other people, you know, because at the end of the day, we still know a man can't overpower a woman. Just
to add to that, if I may, that I think is one of the main causes of domestic violence against women, because men take it so much until they reach a breaking point and they strike back, and it always falls back on the man. So I think for so long it's always been a woman issue. No one's ever thought about, well, how much did the woman poke the bear before the bear bit back? And not justifying any of it. It's all wrong on either side, but people have to take into account the reasons why, not the reaction why. And which is also one of the main reasons I got involved, was because I think understanding of it on both halves will alleviate a lot of it. That makes sense, you know? Like, once people know why, it gives them a chance to think again and hopefully prevent it altogether.
And I don't think it's all in my case. I never initially struck Chris. I never. I can honestly say that I never intentionally just, you know, started with hitting him. Now my mouth can get slick sometimes, but I can honestly say I never did that. And then when you're involved with someone that has mental issues, bipolar or schizophrenia, that's a different beast, because it's like you can't, once they go into that phase, they can't even control themselves. So like for me, it was like, don't try to strike back, because that's just going to even intensify what's going on. So
So that's a good segue. And not necessarily all of it, but are you able to share some of your story? Because I know at the launching, okay, and let me back up for those who are not aware, Maya recently launched a domestic violence awareness center, and which she shared her story. And like, I listened and I was tearing up as she was telling it, because a lot of things that she said in her story, it hides behind, some of it hides behind statuses in the church. It hides behind, oh, well, if a man is taking care of you, he's providing for you, it's like it's almost okay to accept that. Maya, do you want to share any of your story?
Sure. I don't mind. I don't for me, people would say I never really bashed Chris or to try to make him feel bad. I didn't agree with what he did, but outside of that, he was really a good person, you know. And when it would happen, I can honestly say it was when I knew that switch was coming on. And once I learned when it was going to happen, you know, you just try to avoid it. Sad part is still happening at the end of the day. And with him, it was more of, for one, I didn't share because I don't share my personal life with others. I feel like what go on in my house is what go on in my house, you know, and I didn't want no one else's perspective to be my perspective or what I live, because they have a different friendship or relationship with him. But at the end of the day, it was when things would happen or I began to share, it was, well, initially I shared with a parent, his parent, and to, you know, try to talk to him to get him some help for the mental illness part and explain to him what was going on. And his response after he talked to Chris was that, oh, he's doing fine. You know, he's getting ready to buy another truck. And it wasn't financially, and for that it cut me off from even talking about it, because later it was, he didn't buy me something that I wanted, and that had nothing to do with it. It was more about the person. He could run his business if he was high on drugs, if he had an argument, he's gonna run his business, just period, point blank. And so they looked at the status that he had and just looked at me like, well, something's going on with you, because we don't see him doing that. And I could get that because he was a very fun, loving, and giving person. But I also know on the flip side of that, when somebody is helping you financially, whatever they do in somebody else's eyes, it's a lie, or it's all right, or you provoked it, because they are on the receiving end. And so they're not going to go against that person because they don't want to get cut off. It was, let me absorb whatever I can from this person. So it clearly has to be her. You know, so for me, it was like, it was hard to share. And then when it came to my family, I never said anything because they loved it. You know, they loved Chris. And I understood why they liked him, you know. And it was with my mom, like things would happen and my mom would be like, why you so crying? Or why you don't want to go? And I would say, Mom, because you don't know the backstory. And I got tired of, if you did something and then you turn around and say, well, let's go take a trip, or let's go buy a car, or, you know, that gets old. For me, it did. That got old. And one particular day, my mom was at home and seen it for herself. And after that, she came and apologized to me. She said, I really didn't know. I didn't see it. And after the fact, when he talked to her, that's when I told him, he's a different person. And when his brain switched, he totally different. Like, you don't even recognize him. It was so bad that you could see it in his eyes that he just wasn't that person anymore. And so she looked at it different. She didn't change. She didn't stop not loving him, you know, but she understood where I was coming from at that time. And she was like, well, why you never said nothing? Y'all want to believe me? You know, no one believed me, you know, so it's just something you did, and it got to that point where I love me more than I love anybody else, you know, and it's like, okay, God, I can't do this anymore. What you want me to do? You know, moving out the bedroom and moving into another bedroom, that didn't work, you know, and it was just like, I can't take no more. And when he said go, I left, and that was that for me. I didn't get a divorce because he didn't want a divorce, you know, but it took me out of that situation, you know, being abused. And it wasn't just physical, it was mental abuse, which can be just as worse. You know, verbal abuse is just as bad as somebody hitting you, depending on what that person's saying, how they do it, you know. So I received it from both ends.
Wow. And you said something. I was kind of writing things down because I didn't want to forget. One of the things that you said was he was a good person. And what we tend to do is make excuses for a person's behavior for when they're being a good person. But that still doesn't justify the abuse and, you know, physical, mental, whatever that's taking place behind the scenes. But he's a good person. He's a provider. He's a good father. He's a stand-up guy in the community. He's, all these other labels, but the true individual is what you're living with. Yep. And just like you said, we had for so long had the mindset, what happens in this house stays in this house. And that's what has had a lot of people suffering in silence because they don't know who to turn. Just think about it. The first time you did get brave enough to tell somebody, they didn't believe you. And then once they went and asked, then they were stuck on, oh, well, he says everything is fine. Of course he's going to say everything is fine. Do you really expect him to tell the truth? Like, oh, yeah, I am. Come on.
What's sad in our society accumulate wealth, success, when everything's okay. And it's like they cover up everything else that's going on. And I don't like that about our society. Because money don't make everything right, you know. And so I don't agree
I don't either. Shelly, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I was gonna say because I gotta speak for the men here. Uh, but on the side for us, it's the same thing. Um, a lot of men I've dealt with, like even say me personally, you run into a friend and you're like, man, what the hell happened to your neck? What and like, my girl's tripping and it's always, what did you do? And I guess unfortunately for men, most of the times we did do something. Oh, she found this, I got caught doing that. And so as a man, we have to talk it up and accept it because it was always, what did you do? Or hurt, she can't hurt you. And it's like, I'm bleeding from here all the way down. But like I say, for me, it goes, what did you do? And so in no form or fashion is it acceptable or should occur. So like I was saying, for when it comes to men, I'm gonna say this disclosure. I hate sounding like this because as a man, we're not supposed to, we're supposed to take what's given to us. But as a man, there's a lot of men out there that I talk to that are like, man, I hate going home because I already know it's gonna be something, and if I'm too nonchalant, she talks with her hands, or if I admit it, or I'm caught red-handed, it always turns physical. That's why I say it's the same for everyone, and it's glad that finally they start recognizing men because it's 50% of women stay, but it's 80% of men stay.
that. Wow.
And I think the statistics are like 14% of women in domestic violence end in death or bodily harm, and 4% of men end up dying or major bodily harm. So it's a factor on both ends, and it's something that needs to be addressed. And like I say, most of it comes from people. Well, I won't say people. Men have no one to talk to. And I say that honestly because Georgia, and I only speak on Georgia, they don't have one facility or hotline for men. And in all the domestic violence homes or conferences, men aren't even allowed to speak because women, it's like a trigger to them. They have a thing for men. So to hear a man talking about domestic violence, it triggers them. So most men aren't even allowed to, even male counselors aren't allowed to address the issues for women. So it's a double-edged sword, and you know.
Even with the law, even if they come to a home, I never called the police on Chris, never. And but from people that I've spoken with, when a cop is called out, is they just take one of them to jail.
Well, that's the law.
Once they release, they go back home. It's no help. You go home, you figure it out. It's like you really don't get the help that you need. And the few facilities that we do have that allow women that would give them a place to stay, some of them is 3 months, 6 months, and they can get on their feet, but they're so overcrowded that it's few and far when you can get into a place where they can actually help you reacclimate yourself into society. Because when you're in that situation, even for me, I've always on my own, I've always taken care of myself, but when I got married, my husband took care of the home. And so for me, it was fear to get out and start paying bills again because I hadn't did it for so long. And in my mind, I know I work, but in my mind, I really truly was afraid. Like, how am I going to do this? I don't want to be.
Right.
I don't. It was a big fear for me. And then
that fear and that inaccessibility of places to talk to is why most people go back.
Yeah.
They don't know they don't know what to do. Family doesn't believe them, or family for men is, what did you do? For women, it's not him. look at him helping the kids across the street. Like
Yeah.
it's a very ugly situation.
It horrible. We got parents of the year at my son's school. Like, because we did so much for the
Mm-hmm.
school system. Like they wouldn't believe, like, no, not the
Mm-hmm.
Harrods, not them.
Yeah.
They're always supporting their kid, everybody else's kid, what we got going on in the school system. Like, no one would ever believe that that was going on behind closed doors. And people look at it like, if a person cheats, oh, he's just talking to some, that's
Mm-hmm.
they brush that under the rug. But it can go deeper than that.
Right.
So people wouldn't. So it's like, why share it? No one's gonna know. I shared it with his brother and dad, and that was my case. And it wasn't until Chris was murdered. I think it was like a month or two before he was murdered. His brother came to me and said, my brother came and spent the night with me and my wife, and we had a conversation. And he told me everything that you would tell me, it was the truth. He said, Maya, I was at awe. I could not imagine my brother doing some of the things you said. Not to you, anyway. I didn't believe it. And they called me. And so it was unbelievable. And he never acknowledged his wrongdoing until like a month before he was murdered. He called and apologized and acknowledged everything that he did. And that's all I ever wanted him to do, because he used to try to make me feel like I was crazy. And I know I'm not crazy. Not in that sense, anyway.
Right.
And the same, I'll just think, me personally, like my partner, like she was a member of the Black Business Coalition, worked with the mayor, and so it's like, not her, but then when you out in public and a man is like, hey, don't come talk to me, mine was crazy, like, who her? Nah, I'm like, yeah, I'm serious, stay over there, because I don't want this headache when I get home, because I'm just over here having a conversation with you. Yeah. So it happens in plain sight. You just don't see it.
Yep.
And what's interesting about that, at the end of the day, there's an underlying source within every individual that acts this way. And I heard you say how men don't have an outlet to have the conversation, which is disheartening, because that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to voice your pain, voice how you feeling. Be able to. We need to create more safe spaces. And the problem with society, everything is judgmental and it's based on status and this, that, and the other. I see somebody had put in the chat, people with a lot of money are more miserable than those who don't have a lot. And Maya, I think that's kind of going to the point. Your husband had this status, he had the finances, he had this, that, and the other, but behind the scene, he had some secret struggles that he wasn't able to deal with. And one thing with domestic violence, I feel when a person is hitting on another person, a lot of times they're projecting and hitting on themselves in a sense. Of not doing that person. Did I say that where it made sense?
Hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people.
That's a fact. And he was dealing with a lot. And I'll say some of the things that he dealt with came from childhood. He was, I know at the age of 12, he was in a mental institution. The medication that they gave him, I think that's when he got out. But he said that was like some of the worst years of his life when he was institutionalized. And when he got out, he didn't like taking the medication because he said he didn't like the way that the medicine made him feel.
Yep.
And it was up until a couple of months before he got shot. He called and he said, I think I'm ready to stop using drugs and I want to try the medication now. And it's unfortunate that he wasn't able to do it. But yeah, so it's a lot that went on with that causes people to do things. And for me, he said, well, things happened to my mom and she was okay. So I feel like you should be okay too. So part of learned behavior,
And to add to that, for men, especially in your situation, like I said, they have nowhere to go,
Yeah.
or it's not manly to go to your friend crying about an emotional problem as a man.
Mm-hmm.
So men don't, they don't have that outlet to go talk, or we have very few elders today to go talk to and give you a piece of advice that makes sense and teach you how to handle a situation, handle a struggle within yourself.
Yep.
So that outlet is missing for men, and a lot of that is why men go home and take it out on the ones they claim to love.
Yeah. To me, I think it's not an outlet for that for women because you are judged, and the first thing
Hmm.
people would say will just leave, and all of the time it's just not that simple,
Simple.
or how could you? Because I can honestly say I was at an event with a young lady that almost got killed by her husband,
Hmm.
and like, girl, that could never be me. I wish somebody would, and I ate those words. I just couldn't understand, and when we was having the conversation, she didn't show that she took offense to what I was saying because I had empathy for what she went through. And the guy that saved her on the highway from her husband is the guy that I met, that she eventually married. But as she was going through that, I was just like, how could you stay? Like what? And I ended up being in a very similar marriage that she was. So it's
Right.
don't have nobody to talk to because people they don't listen. They always want to, instead of listening, they want to tell you how to handle the situation. And it's not always that simple, you know.
And that stems from, which people don't know, the number one form of abuse is mental and emotional abuse.
Yep.
And so women that don't have an outlet, they always have a man in their ear talking about, if you love me, you this. You know you ain't this without me. If you leave, how you gonna do this? I'm gonna take this, that, and the third. So that's the psychological abuse that most women have to endure, which prevents them from leaving. Cause it's like, dang, is he right? Cause my friend ain't said nothing, and you know, so that's the psychological abuse that
That
is
was
that is
my
way more powerful than the physical abuse.
Chris used to always say that. Well, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna take this.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of months before I moved to Texas, I went and got my own car,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a courier service. I gave him my van back. I left everything. I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
when I filed for my divorce. I didn't want anything. And people would be like, "Girl, you dumb, you stupid. You know you can get half of this and half of that." And to me, I made me before it was a Chris. So I didn't feel like I needed anything. And I was one of those people that I can show you I can survive without you. I
And you
can't.
know what? Let me interject. Your piece is priceless. There's no price on peace. But hold on. I have some comments, and I actually said, woo, I actually have a question specifically for you, Shelly. So let me, okay. So some of the comments, I guess, when you were talking about the men and some of the things that they deal with, and you said, somebody said chilling. I've heard it. My girl just tripping.
Mm-hmm.
Then someone said, "It's disheartening when a, a man lies and manipulates a situation to try to convince the woman that she's the liar and cheater."
Mm-hmm.
But hold on, I'm not to it yet. In which someone did agree with that. And okay, hold on, because this is where the question comes for you. Okay, that person said, I very much agree with you. A man will lie about the multiple women he is messing with, and then when he is confronted, he plays crazy and make you feel
Mm-hmm.
like you are crazy, manipulates
Mm-hmm.
the situation. So the question is, Shelly, what do you have to say about why men gaslight?
Um, I think one, that's a major part of the psychological abuse. One,
Mm.
but two, majority of men I feel gaslight the situation. Ego is ego, ego definitely. But a man they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose what they have. So of course they're gonna have to reverse it. And if they have a woman that they know is in love, and when you're dealing with love, you're dealing with a connection. So it's beyond hard to disconnect from what you love. So men know that, and they play on it, and that's the psychological abuse I was saying that they give to women, and it's just sad. I don't want to say it's weak men because it's not weak men. It's just I don't think they know. Yeah. So there's
But
no
if you don't want to lose, why do you do the?
You know, can I, if I could speak honestly and not saying I agree with it,
Right.
but and women hate this because I get it all the time. But by nature, it's a man. It's his nature to. I'm gonna get in trouble for this. It's a man's nature.
First of all, regardless of what people say, let's establish this is non-judgmental because this is real talk.
Okay.
And if we do not have the real conversation, nothing gets dealt with, nothing gets healed, nothing gets fixed.
Right.
So please come.
Okay. So I'm gonna say this. It's a man's nature to have more than one woman. Yes, we live in a civilized society. Yes, when you make a vow to someone, you are to honor them vows. If not, you shouldn't have said them. But, and not justifying it, I don't agree with it. But if you look through history, I don't think any woman could find a woman in her family that's had a long relationship or marriage that has never had to deal with another woman. It's not always sexual. Sometimes it's mental. Sometimes it's conversational. Or sometimes it's a work wife or whatever it may be. But I honestly believe it's in a man's nature, and every man isn't strong enough to control it. There are lots of good men that can control it and say no, but there are unfortunately many more that they can't control their nature. So there's no ill intent, and I don't think they do it consciously. I think it's just I just think it's man. I just think it's man. It's just man.
So go ahead, Maya.
I want to say this, like I'm agreeing with you from what you're saying, and just from men that I've talked to, from pastors, from blue collar men, from street guys, like just men across the board. The majority of the men, and I'm gonna say 99%, is that 1% that's you can cheat in conversation. And so as far as just having that, oh, this is my friend, we could talk, we could da-da-da-da-da. I've had guy friends like that. But I've had other guys that tell me, if you open up that door or say one thing to that person, they gonna come in because they already have established a friendship and a relationship with you. But if you allow them to come in, they're gonna have more than just a friend.
Because that's just a man. He can't help himself.
Don't have relationships with the opposite sex when you are in a relationship, because they will lead to something else if one or the other would allow it to. So, yeah.
And you were gonna say, Miss Tammy?
Well, actually, I was going to say you have someone in the chat who strongly disagree with you. They like basically that it's a lie what you saying about a man. The man can't control himself and he got to have multiple women. And they were like, he needs to stop making excuses. But at the same time, no, I wanted you to be real. I want you to be raw. I wanted you to give it from a man perspective.
And it's not an excuse. I don't condone it. I don't think it's every man at all. I just know from experience in talking to men and talking to women in family, in friends, in history. That's just been the way. It doesn't make it right. And I know women are like, no, that's BS. And in today's society, it is BS because we decided that it should be one man, one woman. But in nature, like I said, every man isn't strong enough to control it. And like I say, any woman, I challenge them to ask any woman in their family, have they ever had to deal with another woman? And like it's not always sex, or it's not always as far as we went out on a date, but it just happens. It just and men we fall for it. I don't know why, we just do. But like I said, it's not justifying it, and definitely not okaying it if that's your agreement with your mate. But you know, but I can't lie to you. Look in history. Look in history. If your man has a child with another relationship with his baby mama, he might not be over there sleeping with her, but he's gonna make sure she's all right. If the house is lacking, he don't want his child in the lacking house, so he's gonna make sure this and that's together. He's always gonna deal with another woman. It's just what level he does it, or what level is inappropriate for each individual relationship, or if he's sloppy and it gets out and gets home. It's just I just can't think of a situation where a man does not have another woman to deal with, be it his kid's mom, be it whatever aspect. And like I say, not justifying it. And let me say, not me, but
Put that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, but it ain't unfortunate. It's just nature. Any species of animals, that's just the way it is. And it's like I said, not justifying it. But I'm guaranteed the women who are mad at it, they probably dealt with it. And they leave a man and find a new man, and before long they done dealt with it. And so I think women constantly believe that perfect man is there. And I believe he is. He's just a needle in the haystack because of all the TV and what a man's supposed to be and the videos and this, that, and third. I think we all are just a little misguided.
So if I were to ask you this question, how can be, I guess, one, be grown and sexy, grown and say you can't help yourself?
I personally think for a man, it's levels to it. I don't see nothing wrong with if I'm at a bar and a lady comes and I say hi and have a little conversation and leave it at that. There's nothing wrong with that. But someone on the outside looking in say, girl, I seen your man at that bar with that girl. They was talking for 5-10 minutes, so my girl's instantly gonna have a problem. But I didn't take it no further. I didn't want nothing from it, no matter what the temptation was. So it's just a matter of perception and what your rules are in your house. But like I say, I don't think any woman can say she's never not dealt with another woman. It's just some men mess up and get emotionally involved, physically involved, and take it too far. And I think that's out of line on a man's behalf, especially if home is right.
Yeah, I think it's time in life to change the narrative on all that. I do. I think when we really step into our power and step into who we are and do our healing and our journey, we don't have to continue to operate that way. So this is where I feel accountability needs to take place. And every person has to be accountable for their actions. And even, what does the scripture say? Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. So just think about it. Now, if we really talk about the realness and the rawness, men can't even handle when women step out on them. But this wasn't even what this conversation was about. But the chat kind of said it there. But women really can't handle that. Like, no, women, we bounce back faster than they do.
Oh, they believe they don't even want you no more if you cheat on them. It's over. No matter how
that's just
but they want the woman to stay there. Well, I take care of you. This our house. It's double standards.
I agree with every woman. I don't think it's right. I just know that in society today, it's unfortunate. It's just the way it is, and please, like I say, not everyone. I'm speaking on the bad side of it. The good side is good, so let's leave the good untainted with this. So a lot. It's just what it is, man. I mean, until someone can say, no, it ain't. I've seen it, and that's not true because I have family who are married, and their women walk with so much majesty and proud and handle him correctly. The last thing on his mind is ever getting out of line with his house. His house is good. But that doesn't stop a conversation or something like that where his woman probably, I don't care about that. I know where my man coming. So it's just, I hate to say it, but it's just what it is.
Gotcha. So let's go back. Let me circle back to something, Maya, when you were telling your story that I wrote down, and I didn't want to get away from that. One of the things that jumped out to me is like the victim is usually the person that's always accused of what did you do? Why do we think that to be a response?
I don't know. So in my marriage, Chris never accused me of messing around on him. He, in no kind of fashion, his ego was too big for that. Like, can't nobody do what I do for you, so I don't even worry about you going nowhere. So that I never experienced that part. He's never. I can't speak on that because that was never my situation. Never.
Right. Well, I guess more so my question is like when you did talk about it and then the first pretty much response you got, what did you do? What did you do? It's like that's something that I feel that we have to heal, because if a person can't say, hey, this happened to me, without the first response being, what did you do? Then we miss like the opportunity to help a person.
So
Because
are
at
you
that
asking from someone else, or with Chris asking me what can he do to make it better? Or are you just saying an outsider?
yeah, when you finally get brave enough to say, okay, I need help and this is happening, and then when you hear, well, what did you do? That dims a person's light, because first of all, it's not an easy task to make that step. That first step is hard. It's almost, I'm sure, HE double hockey sticks to make. So when you make it and then, you kind of get shoved down, that's another reason why people are not bold enough to tell their truth and share their story, and they hide.
For me, it shut me down.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me deal with me. Let me deal with myself and get myself out of that situation. I did a lot of praying. I did a whole lot of praying and talking to God. That's honestly what I did. Everything that I did. That was it. It was like, because I'm one of those people that if you're going through something and I got to share with this person and share with that person for my personality, it just confuses me. Because it's so many people giving so many different narratives that's not in my situation. And so for me, I'm not big on sharing. So when I do decide to share and no one's really getting where I'm coming from, it cuts it down. So I don't have a long list of people that I'm gonna go and talk to. It shuts me down, and I deal with it the way that I deal with it. And
well, someone has asked, Maya, has God brought you a good man to your life?
Not yet, but I'm open to it, and I'm ready. I will get married again. That's not. I enjoyed being married, so I definitely would do it again. It didn't kill me to say I hate men. I don't want it to happen no more. I'm just gonna be this way. No, I will do it again tomorrow.
And and to that, I high five, and I walk in agreement with you on that, because one thing that I say, marriage is an awesome thing. It's the person you marry that makes the problem, makes the difference. And as I think of that, as we're having this conversation, I thought about Ike and Tina. Just think about it. Like, Tina, phenomenal, like superstar. And look at what she was dealing with behind the scenes. And so, she's having to put the makeup on and go perform. because her husband is beating her. That is, these are things
You
that
got
should
to say something to say, okay, yeah, we good. And people will ask you, oh, you got a good marriage. I want my marriage like your marriage. Like I need one of you. I need a husband like your husband. Like people will always say that. Y'all got the perfect relationship. And I used to respond and say, it's everything is not what it seems. In very, very mild manner and just keep it going. Cause he wake up, let's go. We gotta go do X, Y, and Z. And you go. Some days I will be excited about it, and some days I'm like, I'm just here because I gotta be here. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say a lot of that comes from not out of that, but to answer the question also and pick up what she said is the resources. The resources aren't out there for women to go seek professional help or
Mm-hmm.
someone that's experienced it and knows a way out of it help. Majority in our community, the help comes from a girlfriend that's bitter or a homeboy that wants his position, or or like you both said, someone older that had to deal with it in the 50s and think it's normal. So it's what did you do? The resources aren't there for people like mine to go speak about it and not get accused of what did you do. More compassionate answer of like what's going on, how can it happen, what can we do to prevent it, um, what signs did you notice in the beginning, or what red flag did you ignore that you can now key in on to know what to avoid. The resources just aren't there for women to get educated help.
And not even just for the woman to get help. We do need more resources, but also I feel like we need resources for the abuser. They
Yeah.
need, and it's like, people tend to put that person down and bash them after everything comes out. Then they want to feel sorry for I don't look at myself as a victim, but society say, the victim. Now everybody want to be remorseful and do this and that for you after everything has hit the fan. But at that point, it's like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm good. You know,
Right, but that comes with accountability,
you went there.
and most men aren't accountable for their actions.
Mm-hmm.
They've been told wrong. That's what a man's supposed to do, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So without the initial step of accountability, it's hard to get treatment for it if no one sees the problem. Or in my behalf, if the man didn't see the problem or he created an excuse for it, then how can you help someone that doesn't see the problem?
So
So,
Shelly, there's a question. So tell us, Shelly, are you accountable?
um, yeah, I'm 100% accountable, which which I stated even me personally or my friends. The first question was, "What did you do?" And 9 times out of 10, a man knows what he did. I shouldn't have been over here, and I should have stayed over there, or I knew that was the wrong place to be and the wrong group to be around, and I went there anyway. So I'm accountable for myself, but like that's the problem. Most men aren't. They think they've been told or shown that it's okay for men, or a man should be allowed to do this if he's the breadwinner, if he's paying the bills, he feels he should be able to do this, that, and the third.
And that's
So
how a lot of people felt with me. Like he should. It's okay.
right, and so
Yeah.
there's men, they don't know, or some my dad always said, men don't know that they don't know because they've been taught this. TV shows it. Every rap song and now R&B song is,
As
this,
an
that, and the
adult,
third.
men should know anyway. As an adult, know.
Okay, so let me ask you, how should a man know if no one's ever taught him? If he didn't come from a home where his father and his mother lived in harmony like that, how will he know? And not making an excuse, but if you've never seen it or you haven't had people before you to teach you, this is bad, this is how you do it, treasure her, love her, look what she's doing, look how much she's putting up with. they don't know. And I talk to a lot of men that genuinely in their mind believe they did nothing wrong. And then it'll take me to break it down to the beginning, like, so if she did this, you'd be all right with that? Or when you was over there, your conscience didn't tell you to hide that number, that was the mistake. So you did know, you just didn't recognize it at the time. So men know what they do. Or if you come home and you had a bad day, everyone knows don't bring your problems home. So just because you had a bad day, you don't make it a bad day in the house for your woman, or and I truly know men do not know that. Now, common sense isn't so common no more, like we would expect it to be. And the same with women. A lot of women don't know that. They feel what they did was wrong from something that happened 6 months ago, or they're still holding a grudge, or the man's still holding a grudge. And or you brought up Ike and Tina. Ike, he had some personal issues. I think he had a little man complex. The only way he felt he could control his woman, he didn't have the love in him to control her with love. So his only other option as a man is violence.
If she walking around bleeding and hiding wounds, he knew what he was doing was wrong.
100%. But like we stated, women have nowhere to go, so she kept coming back. After 3 or 4 times of a man or a woman coming back, your brain automatically says, "Oh, it must not have been that bad because she's back." Yeah. So it's both. It's a scale. So women come back and the man thinks it's okay because she didn't have a big brother like with my daughter. If she come home beat up, her boyfriend knows I'm coming, my brother coming, my cousins is coming. A lot of women don't have that. So they go home, take it, and tuck away in the corner. And a lot of men don't have, or even me. If I even argue with my woman, I had a big cousin that would grab me and be like, "Hey, slow down, boy. That's not only is that a woman, but that's your woman." And so I was able to have that. A lot of men don't have that. So where do you get
from? And I still didn't call my family. Even when I remember an instance when my aunt was on the phone and heard it go from harmony to chaos.
Right.
And she called my dad, and my dad came in. I didn't even go to the door.
So it goes back to the accountability. Yes, the man was wrong and he needed his accountability. But women see the red flags. They've been through it before. And for whatever reason, like I say, if you keep coming back, the man thinks it's okay. Or not okay, but he's like, she ain't leaving, so what would he check himself for if he hasn't lost? And that same principle applies with children. They get a whooping and it hurts, so they know not to do it again. When a man is out of line with his woman and she comes back, he never experiences the pain. So if she eventually leaves a year later, 2 years later, he never felt that. So his next woman is, let me try the one thing I know. So it's the accountability on both ends that makes it continue.
Okay. And so the question was asked, and either one of you can answer it. How do you hide the mental and emotional abuse?
I'm going to answer first because it's brief. That's the problem. You don't hide it. It has to be, you have to talk to someone, even if it's the abuser, which most of them don't listen. But you can't hide it because then people don't know. And he's the good guy because he has the awards in the career. But I'll let you answer mine.
I don't feel like I hid it. I just didn't discuss it because people that know me, they know my demeanor. And so they're used to me being jolly, smiling, and hugging everybody. That's what everybody know me for. When I'm quiet to myself, my face looks different. So I can't hide it. They know when something's not right for people that really know me. So to me, you can't hide it. You just don't discuss it.
Isn't that the same thing? Because I know from my personal experience in situations, yes, you could read a woman's face, or you like a man can look at a woman and be like, "Oh, she going through it over there." But if she doesn't make it aware where he's ousted for it, like I say, it continues. So you can't hide it. You have to be. I'm trying to remember what movie it was where it's, yeah, he did this. He like it has to be known for it to be fixed. But the fear is if I let it be known, now I can't go home. So what am I gonna do? So I'll be quiet so I can go home till I figure out my escape.
It was me being quiet so I can go home. That wasn't really my issue. I didn't ever feel like I couldn't go home.
Yeah, I just use that as an example. So there's many reasons, but
yeah, it's just that it's like you share with people, and me sharing with people, I just felt like I wasn't gonna get any results.
Mm-hmm.
And when I decided to share, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
No results.
Which goes back to, like you said, is who are we sharing it with?
Absolutely.
Are we sharing it with someone qualified to handle this?
I felt like I was sharing it with someone that I felt like loved him enough to help him and get him some help. Or I shared with my best friend, which made her angry, but you can kind of stay with me. And it's like, right. I didn't want to be over here for a minute and then end up going back home. It's for me, it was when I fixed my situation, I want it fixed. I don't want to have to come back. I want it resolved.
But to me, that goes back to hiding it.
It was something asked to that comment you were made. So they're asking, are we talking about a shrink now or sharing? What is it? Sharing now or sharing a man? I think I'm confused.
Never sharing a man. Let's get that out of the way. But sharing it with the right person. So like Maya said, she shared it with her friends or people she thought would correct Chris. But it's a form of hiding it when you didn't share it with your dad or your brother who would have went and corrected it. See, so.
But now, if you shared it with them, the correction probably would have landed Chris in the hospital. And I'm almost sure, Maya, that was something you were trying to avoid.
Right, and that's the problem.
And that's what you're right. Abuse
needed the hospital.
A lot of time. Think about it. I think you mentioned children earlier. Children that are being abused, they'll still protect their parents. It's like people natural tendency is to protect.
You're gonna protect what you love,
right?
And that's the problem. It's like you're being pulled in every way. I love this man. And then for some, it's then women get the question, what did they do wrong, knowing they didn't do nothing wrong, so it's.
Well, I never asked what did I do wrong, because that was one time in my life, I can honestly say I was right in my marriage. And it wasn't even being right for Chris. It was being right for me because I knew the person that I was. So
right.
It was to prove to me that I can be committed, that I can do right, that I can live under this certain umbrella and know that without anything, I honestly did what I was supposed to do and tried to stick in there.
But speaking for a majority, like I said, the mental abuse always comes first. So when a man is abusive, his protection is, well, you shouldn't have did this. You shouldn't have did that. And women, it'll make a woman, if she hears it enough, she will eventually question, like, dang, did I, that's the psychological abuse. Is that a man to make a woman think she did something, knowing she didn't.
And he really the one that did something.
Exactly.
My story. I was married as a teenager. I talk about this for those who don't know. I published my autobiography this summer, and I married an older man, and that was one of the Jedi, I like to call Jedi mind tricks that was played with me. I was projected upon, you sleeping with this person, you doing this, you riding around somebody in my car, and So I got taught that lesson early in life that it's called projecting. At the time, I didn't know the proper terminology, but somebody put it in the chat. Gaslighting was gaslit because they're doing what they're doing this stuff, but it was
Accusing you of doing
to accuse me of doing it. To the point I was like, "What? Do I have a multiple personality?" I'm serious. I was Jedi Matrix so bad. I wondered. But ultimately, what I'm hearing in some of the things that I'm hearing in this conversation is we need to establish, and of course, this can't take place here, but in society, we really need to establish what love looks like.
Yeah.
We really does and do, and it's like conversations need to be had. I was in conversation recently with someone, and we were trying to determine whether or not they get mad because they told me they never got mad, and I was like, I have a hard time believing that because that's a feeling, that's emotion, something. And he tried to say, no, I might get disappointed, but I never got mad. Daughter shows up, does your dad get mad? Yes. So then we had to establish, well, maybe we need to define what getting mad looks like. So sometimes in life, we need to establish, what does something look like to you? What does love? Because love to you may be different from the way that I see it. So this actually goes to where people need to have conversations. And that is one thing that's lacking from everything that I have heard here, the ability to have those conversations that's going to add value, help get us on the same page so we understand each other. Because, hey, my idea of love, baby, be quiet, let me watch TV. Don't talk to me while I'm watching TV. We can talk when it's over. His idea, well, I want you to talk because I want to interact about this TV show. You know what I'm saying? Just using that as an analogy. But
it's knowing expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
Know each other's expectations.
Set those things because they're afraid. They've operated in the same energy that they've been operating their whole life, and have they really sat back to say, is this really how this thing is supposed to work right here? And if we don't find that ground to say, okay, maybe just like a what if, like I'm in project management, we're always sometimes told to ask the 5 whys. Why is this happening this way? Why is, what is the why behind the why? What's the question behind the question? How do we get to the root cause? And I think a lot of the root cause of what we've even been talking about tonight, it is a lot of things that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. Just bear with me for a second. Some of the things that I feel we operate in is in the energy of mothers on the plantation. Let's go to the plantation. Let's just go there. Mothers had to have their children snatched from them. Husband and wives had to be snatched from each other. People were taught not to feel, not to love, not to speak, to, pretty much be robots. Let's just go ahead and call it out. Okay. So you got to think that's trauma that really has not been healed and dealt with. And yet it's continuously passed on, and no one or the positions are not, the people are not put into positions to say, okay, let's face this and let's see what we can do to heal a generation, for the next generation and the next generation. We talk about leaving generational wealth. How about we start talking about leaving generational mental health? How about healing? You know what? See, somebody just put it and this was in the back of my mind. I wasn't going here. Somebody just dropped. Willie Lynch letter talks about how the mother will raise the son to follow behind women and raise the daughters to be stronger. Yes, 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 yes. I am always going to that Willie Lynch letter, because what people don't realize, everything that we're even sitting here talking about right here in this conversation is what is in place from what that man wrote back in the 1700s. He said,
And it's going on today with
yes,
fathers not being able in the home, women being taught they can do it on their own instead of being taught it takes two. Let's work together and have it, like you say, have this talk. Let's have this conversation in the beginning on what do you suffer from, what I suffer from, what do you like, what don't you, this, that, and the third. So how do we come together to get that conversation going?
I think people need to start. Everybody look to me. Everybody love is different. Everybody express love differently. Everybody give love differently. And I think two people have to have an understanding of this is how I love. This is how I show love. This is what I do. And they need to first establish that. As it as it goes on, then you learn that person. To me, it's sad to say, but we're in a society that people look at everything go back to finances to me. And I hate that. Like, because
me too.
if you genuinely love a person throughout the cycle of life, throughout the cycle of a long-term relationship, you're going to always have ups and downs. No one is never up their entire life.
Right.
And so for you to put that as a standard of this guy has to have this, he has to have that, and he loves me because he's doing this, that, and the other. But then when things go sour, your relationship goes sour. It wasn't love in the beginning. It was for the love of what they could do for you. It wasn't for the love of that person. And so when you love a person, it creates patience, and you get an understanding. You learn how to build. You support each other. And say everything is going to be perfect. That's not so. You're going to have disagreements. That's just natural. But you know how to deal with that person, whether they have it or they don't have it. And you should be able to support and stand behind that person when they're down, not kick them when they're down, build it back up again. And to me, it creates a new bond. I also believe that you can be in a relationship for a long period of time and fall out of love with that person. You still love them, you're just not in love with them. So you have to create something. You got to start doing something different, or go back to your basics of why did I fall in love with this person? What were we doing that had us with that connection? And you have to go back and redo it over. So for me, with relationships, I always talk to older people. I felt like they can give me advice. I've never been the person to ask a single person, what should I do in my marriage? What can they tell me about a marriage that they never had? One, they can't even keep a man. And then I'm just being honest. It's always that single friend want to tell a married friend what they need to do in their relationship. But they can't get a man to marry them. For me, it's nothing you can tell me. I'm not going to even ask you for advice. And so when I was married, 95% of my friends were married. Now I had associates that weren't married, but the people that I hung around married people. Like it's nothing we can really talk about. Like you can't, you're not experiencing what I'm experiencing in life right now. So I think as a couple, you guys have to just learn each other and learn each other's love language. So you'll know when something's wrong with your mate, or you don't get in your feelings like whatever's going on at that time, that is you. It's not always you. People still have stuff that they deal with just in their life themselves. It has nothing to do with what's going on at home. And so as you learn a person and begin to love a person, you love them regardless. If they're sick, if they're not sick, if they up or down, it's few people that have that now. Or even
more. But that goes back to, like you said, it's who can you turn to? Like you said, if you had a problem with your relationship, you're going to turn to someone that's been in a relationship, not no one that haven't been in it. And back to also, how were you raised? Were you raised off of love, or were you raised off of survival? Because they're two
Mm.
different things. So if you were raised in survival mode, everything's a problem, everything's this, that, and the third. But if you're raised on love, then I understand love is a give and take. I understand equally yoked doesn't mean we both strong financially. We're both in the gym together. I'm strong on this avenue, but I'm weak here, and where I'm weak, he's strong, and where he's weak, I'm strong. So it is balance, and learning each other, and having that hard conversation in the beginning, that honest conversation, not the image conversation that you want everybody to think is great and you this and that. Is, hey, this is what I need, this is where I'm hurting,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be weak in this, will you stand by me through this? I know through my experience, I break down. Like, for a man, I got a lot of men that, like, they know when their finances go crazy, they go dark. So I tell them, you got to have a woman that understands that, and she's there to uplift you, and and hold you up. And the same with women. A lot of women have their problems. You got to have a man that understands you as a woman. Is like, I know what's wrong with my baby. I got you. Come here. So, but it's that hard talk in the beginning, and making sure you're compatible, or you're with someone that knows what y'all doing. Which love ain't easy. It's a job.
Yeah.
Well, to that point, this is the journey that I have taken in life. I am a firm believer. This ain't gonna be a popular comment. I know. I am a firm believer that people need to stop jumping from relationships and work on themselves,
Yep.
because
Mm-hmm.
I feel that is a part of the problem with relationships. People have this, oh, I need to have somebody, I got to have somebody, this, that, and the other, and end up in all these unhealthy relationships, and then wonder why they're repeating the cycle. Oh, this time is Jim, this time is Joe, but it's Bob. But here's the thing, you're attracting what you're putting out, because no one, or Sally, Susie, or Mary, because it goes both ways. And so when people feel they got to have all these people in their lives, it's because no one wants to work on them.
Yourself. Yep.
And if they take the time to truly work on them, they'll find that healthy relationship will eventually show up.
Yep.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
even going back to, I heard you early, Shelly, but I'm gonna be that 1% that really believes it's some good men out there.
I'm
It,
with
Mm-hmm.
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm there, and it's a good
I
man.
know there are a lot of them.
Yeah, I know, and he can be faithful, he can be loyal, he can be
Mm-hmm.
loving. I believe this. I stand on my belief on that. And I know in divine timing for me and you too, Maya, because you believe in it too, he's gonna show up. But one thing, we as individuals need to be the best version of us.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said a while back, people want somebody to be there for them, but they can't even really be good company for themselves. They want somebody to be in their company, but they're not good company. So how you want somebody to be in your company and you don't even like your company?
I'll
You
just
want someone to fix you.
hold such high expectations for men that they're not even that person. And so, how can you want more from a guy? And what is he getting? You look nice. You fine. What else? Like I
Yeah,
get,
and
and
that's the
Shelly
problem.
he'll say, "You're so pretty, Mike." Like I don't. I always say what my heart looked like, not what my outside looked like. I'm gonna try to dress nice. Like I like looking nice. That's just who I am. But it's not more so that I feel like I'm gonna get the best guy because what I look like. Like
Right.
if my insides don't match my outsides, somebody telling me I'm beautiful is nothing to me. That's just for me. So
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be able to, just as much as you give me, I want to be able to give that back to you for us to be whole. When you lack, I can get it. It's not. I don't want to always be on the receiving end because I'm naturally a server. I like giving. I like serving people. And so for me, of course, I'm gonna serve my household before I serve anybody else. But it comes natural for me, you know. So it's not like a lot of women don't have men or can't get a husband, and being in a 5 and 10 year relationship with a guy, and you're not married, does not compare to somebody that's married. And I hear a lot of women say, "Oh, I get it." Well, okay, you've been married 5 years. I've been with my man 10, and you still not his wife, and you don't see that that's a problem. You don't see that. You don't compare to this lady that's been married for 2 years. It's not the same, and they don't get it. They just feel like they just got this guy, not knowing that yeah, he's been with you for 10 years, and out of 10 years, you're not the one for him.
Right, it's
Because
convenient
if you
for him.
was, he would have married you, and he'll go and be with a woman for 2 or 3 months, and in 6 months they'll be married.
That's what I was about to
But
say.
they
Yeah,
want
and the same with men.
That's what
the
I was
first
about to
ones
say.
to have something to say about what should you do in a marriage, what this man is doing, or he's not this, or he's not that, and they can't get a husband at all. Talk too much.
Somebody
But
said,
it's
we
around
say
the
we
board.
want. Hold on, let me say this. Somebody said we say we want our Boaz, but are we Ruth ready? Using Ruth as an example, she was virtuous. She was working. She was about her, taking care. What you just said, serving her mother-in-law, and she was seen. And Boaz saw, who is she? Let me make provision for her. Let's leave some extra for her because she was doing her thing. And sometimes that's what people fail to realize. You don't have to just assert yourself. You don't have to just be you.
Yep.
Just be you, and you got to stand on your square and meet on the level. And I tell a lot of men that, like, when they say their woman is this and that, the first question is like, what are you? What's the problem in you first? Are you? Is she secure with you? Are you comforting? Is it a problem with every time you walk in the house? So the same with men. A lot of men aren't healed. A lot of men put it all on the woman. So people have to be healed on the inside and know what their flaws are and seek help to fix them. And not just go around thinking they got it. Because they don't, especially men. Most of these men out here ain't even had a man. So how you know what it looked like being a man and you ain't been around a man?
Well, I'll say that for me, like my time in Texas, it took a lot of healing for me from what I went through. Like I would tell people, nah, and I still have some trust issues, from what I've been through. So yeah, you got to learn how to get back to you. You got to learn how to start loving you again and forgiving the person. And you have to forgive people. It's not that you're forgiving them to get gratification from that person. You're forgiving them for yourself so that you can move on. And so, you got to work on yourself first.
And so I'm glad you went to the other side of it, right? You done talked about the going through and the journey through it. And on the other side, we see a beautiful shining star. That's what we see. I told you from the first day we met, we had a connection. And you just even made me realize even something in myself. Now I did talk about it in my book, but like when you say how people are always talking about you beautiful, I've always heard that. Like even my brand name, I say this, like when it was given to me in 2017 by DC Young Fly at a comedy show I went to, when he called me That's a Woman and the video went viral, I on the outside was not her. I mean, inside, I'm sorry, correction. Inside, I was not her. I was the broken little girl. I was the insecure girl. I was dealing with a dude who I know wasn't ish. And yet, and living beneath who I really was. And it wasn't until I did my healing work and my journey that I've been able to stand in, okay, I love me. Because I can't even tell you that I loved me at that time either, because of a lot of the brokenness that I had been through my whole life. So when you come to the other side, so now when people like, girl, you gorgeous, you beautiful, you the baddest chick in this place. When I hear that, now I could be like, okay, I feel that, I receive
Mm-hmm.
that, because before I heard it, but when I came home, I was still dealing with other broken issues of my life. It didn't make sense to me. So it's a beautiful thing when you go through. And here's the thing: you're never full. You're not quite fully healed. It's always a process. Because just like you just said, Maya, you have trust issues. You've encountered a man. Yeah, I mean that literally was abusing you. I can't say how frequently, but I'm going to quote. I was watching an interview with Cam Newton when he was dating. Interviewing Iyanla Van Zant, and she said I was with a man that was whipping my behind every day the sun came up. That happens. That happens. So to go through that, there's a other side. And that's why I went down that path. And that's to anybody. There's an other side of all of this. But we have to start, and I believe change starts with us. It has to start whereas we start creating these safe spaces. We start having these conversations. I know a conversation like this isn't like that conversation nobody wants to have, but guess what? Nothing heals if we don't confront it. If we don't have those deep conversations, if we don't have those real, and then start asking people in your life, or say, hey, are you okay? If there's anything that you need to talk about, and give them a space to talk in a non-judgmental, because that's another thing. Our society has been formed on just being so freaking judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been a huge problem. But you know what? I'm going to digress for a second, because a question, and they really want to know the answer from you, Shelly. Shelly, can you tell me what a woman should do after she's done everything she could for her man, cook, clean, give financial assistance, rub downs, and ear for him? Is he just a user?
Um, honestly, and honestly, like she answered it. If you've done everything and he doesn't reciprocate it, maybe he doesn't see it. So why waste time? But I think one thing that's missing in our community is therapy. People don't seek therapy. And we weren't taught that, and we think it's a bad thing. I always suggest therapy. Go spend a little money and talk to somebody that could help you diagnose it. But to answer the question, I I gotta tell my daughter, if you doing everything and he don't see it, then what ain't you getting? You know, it sometimes you gotta know when to say when. And it hurts, but hey, we all been hurt and we all healed from it. So yeah, I wouldn't waste no time on no man or woman that I've given everything to and gotten nothing. Like
To
people
me,
ain't gonna
that person
change unless they
not
want to
for you.
change.
That's it. You not what he wants.
And
Yep.
one
Yep.
one thing I've learned in life, sometimes, and it's almost like what you said earlier though, Maya, like sometimes when you on the outside, you can say like, yeah, that he's not it, this, that, and the other. But what I've learned is when people are in certain situations, these bad relationships that are not good for them, they need to start their healing work before they leave, because what usually happens if a person leaves a relationship and they're not healed, the first thing they get out, they find it's hard, they find this, the dating scene, then they go back. And that doesn't go, then they don't even go back to a better situation, because I think it was said on this panel earlier, at that point they're like, oh well, I can do what I want to do, because he or she gonna come back, because they feel they have nowhere to go. So one thing with me, God, when it was time for me, really long before time, but once I finally came to the reconciliation, it's time to make some moves. God would start working on me. So that
Mhm.
I've always been that person. When I say I'm done, I'm done. Like when I tell
Mhm.
you, it's many of exes that will love to be my friend, love to be in my presence, and I am the most cordial. Don't have anything to do with you. God bless you on your journey type individual. Because when I was there, everything that she sat here and talked about, I
Mhm.
was there. Everything, but you didn't appreciate it until one left.
Yep.
And that's the problem. That right there is a whole nother monster. They don't appreciate you until you're gone.
Yep.
And that's a negative energy as well.
And that's
Because
not all men either. That's not all men. Some men do
No,
it.
it's 100% not all men, but when
mm,
you know you have it, I read a meme today that said the problem isn't falling in love too fast; it's staying too long
Yeah.
when it ain't right.
Go.
And
It's time
and
to go. Yeah.
and you know when your man's trying, and you see improvement, even sometimes progress is a slow process. But if you don't see no progress,
Time to go.
like you can't cry away the red flags at all.
mm,
And I
and
think
And women that
that's a big
cry in front
problem
of a
for a lot of
man and cry to their girlfriend,
women.
and if if he ain't ish, he ain't ish.
I
It
don't think
hurts, but it
no
works.
woman should be in no relationship with a man that they want to change him. Not gonna
mm,
happen.
And
period.
Not gonna happen.
mine, I say that all the time. Find a man that's the way when you met him, he was the way you liked him.
Period.
Because especially at our age,
Yeah.
you it ain't really it ain't impossible, but it's hard to change. So if they not how you want them in the beginning, they not gonna. Ain't nobody just changing.
Because even if
Major
they
things,
change,
minor
they
things,
gonna
you
go
can
back to
bring
what's
awareness
happening.
to.
Okay,
Yep.
so to everything that y'all just said, that's exactly why. And I think Shelly, you alluded to it earlier. Representatives, people will send
Hmm.
forth their representative. They will send forth the version of them, the good version of them, hiding the
Hmm.
real version of them. That's why I will tell you this. There was one question I have hated my whole entire life. Dudes will ask, what is it you looking for in a man? Ladies, if I can, even men, if I can give anybody any advice, don't answer that question. Answer it with just be you. That was always my response. Just be yourself. Because anytime you tell somebody what you looking for,
That's
if
what
it's
they
not them and they want to get with you, even if it's for a short term, if they just have a mission and a target, they gonna be everything that they want. You want them to be until they get what they want, and then they gonna go back to being them. That's when the
yeah.
real them show up, and then you find out you don't like the real them. And then Shelly, to what you just said, you done fell in love quickly, and then next
Hmm.
thing you know, you staying too long.
Yeah. And I think also I personally believe that in the beginning if you in it for a relationship, marriage, long term relationship, you gotta go hard in the beginning because then you can see if he can keep up. If when a man wants you, he wants to give you that time. He wants to protect you. He wants to provide from you. It's natural for all men. And if he ain't feeling you like that, he's not gonna do it. So I always say go hard. And if he can't keep up, you'll see real fast he's not matching your energy. And there's no excuse for it. But if everybody brings their representative and is passive and I gotta understand, it's just a matter of time for the truth come out. So you gotta be you from the gate. Hey, I need time. I need quiet time. I need cuddle time daily. If we doing this forever, and if they can't do it, or if it's I gotta work, there ain't no excuses. And we all know we make time for what we want. I done
Say,
had three,
please
four
say that.
businesses my
Please say
whole
that.
life,
Please say that.
and I'm a single parent.
Say that
And
again for the
with
people in the
being a
back.
single parent and running three businesses, when it was that girl I wanted, trust me, she got what she wanted.
Okay,
And
so
it just
I like this comment. Is that their fault or yours for not being able to see the signs? And then they added, everybody gonna show who they are. It's up to you to believe it.
It to me, she
Yeah.
answered their own question. It's your fault if you stayed too long, not the other person. Because one thing about
It's your fault if you stayed too long, but it's
they're
not.
gonna stay as long as you allow them to stay when they know that those aren't their intentions. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's knowing
Wow.
what a person's intentions are for you. You can go out and do everything you think that they want. But if their intentions aren't to be with you, they can still enjoy your company. But that don't mean their intentions are long term or to marry you. You know, so it's you gotta know when to go. You know, and then you can't be mad because that person didn't give you what you thought you should have received. You know, yeah. We set ourselves up
Exactly.
sometimes. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it looks like we lost Shelly. I maybe his phone might have died. But this would be a good time for me to also interject going back to the original. Oh, he's back. So let me go ahead and interject this because it slipped my mind because this conversation got so good and so deep. But what I didn't never share with you, Maya. So when I attended the launching of your business, and or your nonprofit, let's call it in the right terms, your nonprofit, which I want you to share with the people before we get off this call. But when I was leaving, there was a young man there, and when I walked past him, it was something in me that just felt he was hurting. He was hurting. I never got his name or anything. And so happened when I got outside, he was leaving at the same time, and I was parked on one side. He was riding with some people on the other side, and I just kept feeling him, and literally my spirit was like, go pray for him. And I got out my car, walked around to him. I said, hey, I know you don't know me, but I just feel I need to pray for you. And when I did, it's like he started tearing, and he was like, he said, I hope you'll be at some of these events, whatever it is that you have. So I just shared that to say people are hurting, people are in these type of situations, people need the release. They need, I heard the talk about therapy early. Therapy is needed. And I almost wanted to say my newly entered officially profession of life coaching, but some of this stuff even goes beyond that, because you got to deal with the trauma. You got to deal with it, because at the end of the day, 9 out of 10, we didn't even talk about it. 9 out of 10 abusers witness abuse if was not abused and early on at some point
Right.
in life. We didn't even have that particular conversation. So I'm glad that just popped into my head, because 9 out of 10, if someone is doing it, they've witnessed it. Because why would that be the course of action? Why would you think it's okay to put your hands on another individual, adult, male, adult, female? Like that should not even be. I don't
I'm
care
gonna leave
how
1 second.
I don't care how angry a person gets. That's where what they say, walk away. Those are some tools. Those are tools that, in fact, help me with that. What are some tools that we could recommend for people? I know we've talked about, like having conversations, things like that, but sometimes people need to walk away. And this is more so also for the aggressor, because at some point, a person
Everybody first needs to hold themselves accountable.
Yes.
Whether they are being abused or they are the abusers. However, you have to hold yourself accountable first before you can expect somebody else to hold themselves accountable. When you see signs, you have to know what you're willing to deal with.
Right.
And not to say that this person should know better and do better. Because if you're going to say, well, this person should know better and do better, then that's saying that you know better and do better. And you can do better by leaving. Or you can do better by not accepting something. So I think people need to start being real with themselves and stop having expectations of other people that they don't hold themselves accountable for. And a lot of people don't, because they feel like people are going to change for them and they're going to be who they want them to be. No, they are who they are. And once they show you that, you got to hold yourself accountable to see, am I going to deal with it or am I going to stay? And if you're going to stay, shut up about it. Because it's not going to change, because you showed that person that you're going to accept what they give. That's just the truth, whether we like it or not.
And you know what? And someone put in the chat, gain a closer relationship with God. Because at the end of the day, if you have a relationship with God, who is a God of love, you don't hurt what you love. Period. That right there says it all. And I had another thought.
So I got input on that. I got an input on that.
Go ahead, girl.
And I love God. God done took me through a lot of stuff. I wouldn't change any of my experience for nothing. And it ain't just what I went through in my marriage. I wouldn't change them for anything. I do appreciate them after I went. But that phrase you said, that God don't hurt none of us, I'm leery on that, because I feel like even him allowing, I was one of those people that I use myself as that example of Job. When God went and said, have you considered my servant Job to do this? Because he knew Job was faithful to him. And so when all of these commodities happened to him that hurt him and tore him, to me, that's letting my God break me down. Even though he knew that in his mind, I'm still going to make sure she's okay. But when you're going through that, you don't see that. So I feel like sometimes God do hurt us, but it could be for our good in the end, or whatever it is. I always say God, the biggest gangster of them all. He is the biggest, and that's my opinion. We argue about it all day long. But
because everybody got their right to their own opinion. Yep.
Yeah. To me, he does a lot. But I'll say, in all of that, he has saved me. He's made me a stronger person through what I've gone through, and I do trust him, because everything that I went through, that's what I had to depend on, and he's brought me out of all of it. So, will I change for him? No. I'm going to always trust and believe in him because of the things that I've been through in my life, and he sustained me. That I know. He showed me. I've been through a lot. So God has shown me that he is real. I'll just say. And so I'm good with it. I'm not big, but I'm big on spirituality.
So. Absolutely. As am I.
And
somebody said, like Rick Ross,
can you hear me?
You gotta destroy the bill. Yes, go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
And also, I think when people say leave it in God's hands, God also expects you to dead. So you have to
Hold on, Shelly, something is going on. You sound like a computer now.
I don't know.
Something is
I might be dead. It said it's reconnecting.
Okay. Yeah. Now somebody put something really good. Let me read this. God gives us free will to be fools. We have to know what a healthy relationship is, and we must feel worthy of one and have real self-love. Love that. Okay, go ahead. Can you better now, Shelly?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me. I'm gonna say a lot of it is ourselves. God will show you the way, but it's up to us to do the work.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
And
he's gonna give you free will to
will.
Whatever it is that you want to do.
Yes, and that's what somebody put in the chat.
God gonna fix it. Well, guess what? You still got to put the work in. It's nothing's gonna fall out of the sky. You got to put the work. You got to put the work in.
Well, that's why the scripture says faith without works is dead.
Mm-hmm.
You in order to get the results of what you're seeking and praying and believing God for, you got to do a certain level of work on top of your faith, because that's why Paul said, I'll show you my faith by my work. So we got to keep that in mind. We have got to keep that in mind. This has really been some good conversations here. I I'm in awe. Even the vulnerability that has taken place, and even the space to disagree. There, because I know there's a lot of disagreement that has taken place in the chat, but that's what this is about. That's why the title of this is Real Talk with Tammi, because I want us to have real talk, because hey, at the end of the day, I feel real talk helps make us better. It helps to even think. I'm always saying, I don't try to get you to think as I think, but I want you to think. And I feel we're in a society, in a time, they don't want us to think. They're going to do everything they can to keep us not thinking, to keep us against each other, keep us on all these negative frequencies. And I am one that's pushing for us to get in alignment with our higher good. So this was good conversation, Maya, and it looks like we lost Shelly again.
I think we're gonna start people learning to love themselves first. That to me, that's your first step. I'm learning to love yourself, learning to know who you really are, not a facade that you put up. And then if a marriage is what you want, or a relationship is what you want, it's gonna take work. And I think it's gonna take work to the day you die, you know. So it's just, are you willing to put the work in for what it is that you want?
Amen. So I have a request to do a real talk on men who lie and cheat on their women. So I will definitely see what I can do about having that conversation. I see this. So before I start closing this out, I see a lot of us will implement the patience of Job, all while we are getting our AZZB, maturity in spirit, and knowing self-love is real. I could not agree more. And I like where, okay, and then I see where someone said, I would tell my younger self to develop a strong relationship with God and talk to a therapist to learn and understand yourself, so that some behaviors won't be accepted and tolerated. I love this. I love this. Healthy disagreement is good. And yes, to Paris, we are, and Maya, I'm sorry, to Maya, someone put, we praying for you, sis. And I feel the prayers have already been answered, because like I said, I already see a star shining in front of me. I see, the light of God. So thank you for this. Before we go ahead and start bringing this to a close, so Shelly, I don't know why I keep wanting to put a B in your name, but Shelly, even though I know you caught fire, I do want to thank you and appreciate your honest, candid conversation here. Is there any information, like if people want to connect with you? I mean, if I don't know, but if you want to anything to market what you do, because also on my platform, I want us to collaborate. I want people to support each other. I want people to support each other. So you want to tell people how they can connect with you, whether it's on Instagram, your business, go for it.
First, let me make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me?
You coming through
Can
like
you
a
hear me?
computer, but we're gonna try. Go for it.
Okay, my Instagram is Shelly_Solutions.
Shelly_Solutions.
Y'all get it?
Okay. All right, because he is a realtor, so in both Georgia and Colorado, so he will be someone. This chat. I'm sorry, y'all.
I'm talking, they own it, man.
Yeah.
Look, Shelly, I think you got a few fans out here. Baby, they own it. They gonna be calling for something personal. Make sure they buy property, but they calling for something personal, baby. They look, girl, Shelly.
Oh, okay. And Maya, please tell the people. Okay, but hold on, Shelley. So he should be on regularly. An honest man's perspective is always appreciated. I agree. So definitely when I round up some brothers to have that conversation on why men lie and cheat on their women, we gonna bring Shelley back to the stage on that one. And Shelley, you'll have some reinforcement. You'll have some reinforcement. And so, Shelly, we can't hear nothing you say. Your connection is horrible now. We don't know what happened. Maybe your phone.
It went from being great to sounding like a computer.
Yeah. So my girl Maya, girl, love you, girl. So tell the people about the business, give them what you're doing, how to contact you. Go ahead.
You can contact me at contactbrewsbnb.com. My Instagram is brewsbnb. Right now with my organization. So my organization is to help people get back to themselves, basically. Give them tools and resources to get reacclimated into society from leaving their abuser. My goal that I'm trying to reach right now is to open up a center for women and kids to transition back on their own again. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And just to be an ear and give them a safe space. And that's it. So that's where you can reach me at.
Nice. And before I leave with mine, for those who don't know me, but I see where a comment and there was some clapback against it. Men lie because women can't handle the truth. There is a line from a movie. You can't handle the truth. So sometimes that is true, sometimes it isn't. My thing is, I want to know the truth. If I ask the question, I want to know the answer.
I'm trying to tell me the truth.
Yeah, tell me the truth. And I'm going to even be honest with you. If I really feel I don't want to know the answer, I'm not going to ask.
Yep.
I'm just that's just me being 100. So if I want to know, that means I can handle it, which regardless of which way it goes. But one thing about me, do not lie to me. Like, that is a major pet peeve of mine. So
that's a bad relationship. Off the top.
I mean, because that affects trust. And when you're forming a foundation, what does the scripture say? You got to build it on a rock. And if you start building it on sand, when the rain and the storms come, it's gonna wash away.
Yep.
And that's with anything. So, we're gonna have more of these conversations because there's still more I feel that can be had and added, and different perspectives and things like that. So more about real quick with Real Talk with Tammi B. I do an inspirational podcast, like one day a week, 15-20 minutes, just offering mental health encouragement. I use scripture. I use whatever God gives me, because I am on a mission to empower people. I want every one of us to live the life that God told us about in John 10, when he said, I come that they will have life more abundantly. And that's what I'm on a journey to do. That's why I wrote my book telling my story of my overcoming trauma and my healing process, because in order for me to help others, I have to be authentic. And so therefore that's what all of this is about. So I have been doing the inspirations, and then so now God is like, okay, it's time to bring people to the stage and have the uncomfortable conversations, because I feel we're at a time in life where we gotta get uncomfortable being uncomfortable. Agree?
Yes.
And so that's what this is about. Last time I launched with some great group of guys, and we had some fun, and then we did have some real conversation. So this is what's going to continue to happen. So right now, because of my commitment purposes, I'm committing to the first and the third Wednesday of the month. So be on the lookout for the next conversation. Although I will be having because there's 5 Wednesdays in this month, I am going to actually do one on Tuesday the 29th. So be on the lookout for that. So if anybody wants to connect with me, it's at That's a Woman, THASSA Woman. That's my Instagram. That's my YouTube. That's my Facebook. That's who I am. That was a name that was given to me, and so I am branding it now, living the name that was given to me. So with that being said, I appreciate every one of you that have joined tonight, that have participated in the conversation. Like, this chat got up to like 68 comments. I'm like, okay, this is what I am talking about. And there's more great stuff on the horizon. I got a lady that's gonna come through and talk about the benefits of CBD oil. I have, ladies, one of the Silver Fox models coming through next month, so be on the lookout for that. And y'all can even possibly ask him some questions, because I know he does a lot of conversations on dating and things of that nature as well. So there's a lot of things that I'm lining up. So follow me, connect with me if you're not a part of what I'm doing, in which I like to call my family my imperfectionist family, which means we're all imperfectly perfect people, no matter our size, shape, color, whoever we are. There's value in who we are. So we are perfect just the way we are. So connect with me, be on the lookout. Maya, any closing words for these amazing people that joined us tonight?
Thank you guys for joining. Live with a purpose. Learn to love yourself wholly. Um, just be you and live in truth and not what our society has turned to, because to me it's a devil's playground to me. That's just my opinion. But live for you and not what you think people expect out of you. Just be you. And I think in doing that, you'll find your peace. And having the peace of God, I think, will get you through anything. And just, live and enjoy life. I think you should live each day as if it's your last. And that's it. Thank you for joining. Support my organization. Give me a follow on Instagram. If you know anybody that needs some help or just need to release and you don't know how to talk to them because you haven't been in that situation, send them to me. That's what I'm here for.
I love it. So you guys got that, Bruce BNB, which stands for, tell them what the BNB stands for.
Bruised but not broken.
Amen.
So, I went through what I went through. I'm not broken. I don't regret it. I'm good. I'm in a great space, and I'm happy to be in that space.
Yeah. And doesn't it feel good when you've gone through and you can say, and it just popped in my head. I'm closing this, but this popped in my head. What's that saying? I don't look like what I've been through.
Wow,
you don't look like it.
I definitely don't look like nothing I've been through at all.
And neither do I. So yes, and that shows the 2 words that I read in your bio: the resiliency and the strength. And one thing in life, we should always be resilient. You know, it's like I like to use the analogy in Florida where the hurricanes and the palm trees are when the hurricanes come through, a palm tree is gonna bend.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it's not gonna break. And that is my final word for you all tonight. No matter what life throws your way, you will bend, but you will not break. You have the strength and the power to overcome, because guess what? The scripture says you are more than conquerors. So always know and always remember that. To everyone, peace and blessings. Much love, good vibes, good energy to you all. So thank you so much for taking time with us tonight. I appreciate you all.
Love you guys. Thank you. Thanks, Tammi.
Thank you, Maya. Okay, hold on. You know that era that I was talking about with Shelly?
Uh-huh.
That's what's happening. So we got to get him to go back into the app.
Hold on. Let me call him.
So I'll be able to upload this. And I guess because he came in on 2 phones, he's going to have to do it on both of them.
Okay. Hold on.
Because we won't be able to post this.
It's died. Hold on. I think that's what happened. His phone died.
Mm-hmm. All right, so he can do it later, but when you talk to him, tell him I need him to go into the app and close out both of those sessions. I don't know how it's gonna work for 2, but I guess because he had 2 separate phones. But yeah, so then that way I can upload it and get the link over for you.
Okay. Okay.
All right, thanks, love.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
I did too, and we are definitely. I'm gonna have you back, but let's plan to get together soon. It's been a while, so let's plan to get together.
My Saturdays and Sundays are great. There we go.
Okay, okay, Shelly, we done told the people good night. So, but I need you to. It won't let me upload your. Hold on, do this. Give me your email address, Shelly.
It's butter 3D BUTTER number 3 letter D at gmail.com.
Okay, I guess I'm getting ready to send you 2 separate links. And okay, that's that one. Okay, and okay, so when you get those links, try to use that. Huh?
I said it's still acting funny. You can't hear me, huh?
We can. Yeah. You're gonna have to hit the check on both of your phones.
Yeah, but we done. But Shelly, I'm definitely gonna have you come back so you can, and I'm gonna have some men in your corner so that you can be able to you know, y'all can have that real talk conversation. But this was good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I do. As soon as I get the completed recording, then I'll send this out to you guys, and then you can share it as well on your platforms. But thank you. I love you guys.
But call me so we can get together now.
I got you. I will.
Okay.
All right, boo. Talk to you later.
Okay, good night.
Good night.